And welcome back, everybody, to the B stream of SCS Quals, which I'm so excited to be casting, so excited to be happening in the first place. Feels like it's been so long, but what a better way to just, have T3 back and better than ever.
Yeah, and now we're actually getting into the end of things. If a team wins 3 times, then they will be moving on to the closed qualifiers. If they lose 3 times, they will be out. But both of these teams have won twice. So whoever wins this will continue on to, well, the closed qualifiers and duke it out there. So I think this map is definitely important, but we want to get it kicked off. So we're going to head to these rosters, start off with Turbo and Co. And, well, we can see what these teams have between us. Yep, and of course on Turbo Co, you have to have Turbo. Why else, Joe? Psycho, Discover, Carnage, and Mike. And then on Elyssar, you got Beano, Twiz, Bry, Rye, and the iconic JJ Blast.
Yeah, and you do have a CL team on the side of Turbo and Co. A couple of changes, actually. A lot of changes. Really only have Karn and Mikey still on that team. And Elyssar, I mean, a team that has been oh so good in T3 for a hot minute, but as of late have been struggling a little bit. But what a better way to bounce back than to just, get your 3 wins right off the rip, third one against the CL team, and get yourselves right into close calls for SCS. But we also have our map bans right here, and it is a best of 1, as you guys know, so probably more common for a pretty default map. And what do you know? A default map. What do you know?
Oregon is going to be our set. You got Elyssar on the defense. So, I mean, what is there to say about this map? Everybody knows this map. And, I mean, well, Turbo and Co. being a Challenger League team, Elyssar, of course, being an iconic team, they have to know what they're doing on this map. And with Elyssar starting on the defense, they can kind of be the ones to control the narrative from the beginning, I believe.
Yeah, for the most part, but I do want to take a in-depth look at Elyssar, which is kind of something that I would like to do just because, like I said it before when we were kind of talking about those rosters, a team that just is struggling lately, and that's not something you see from a team with this much talent on it, and it makes kind of no sense either where the struggles kind of came in. I mean, they looked so good at the beginning of our SFCL playoffs, but then just had 2 games in a row where they just got cooked. But this is kind of their first major test really in these quals, and they can find a way to win this one. It's really a good spot for them to be, kind of a big bounce back, one that they really need.
Yeah, I mean, Turbo and Co. going through these qualifiers, they've faced 2 academy teams. They have faced Lycus Academy and Hong Kong Academy, 2 teams that haven't really had a good go in this qualifiers. But I mean, hey, Elyssar is a much different team than those 2. And I think we're having some ping issues because, I mean, I don't know what it is about like Central, South Central. They are just not fun to be on. And it seems like every single game that we get in, whether it's in, SFCL, any other T3 league, we're constantly having rehosts. And maybe that'll get fixed with the new season, but it is a struggle bus right now.
When does it ever?
I mean, I just want the ping to be okay, because then it makes our jobs easier. Because sometimes when we rehost, like we have to fill and talk about stuff, and we want to get in the game. The audience wants to get into the game. Nobody just wants to hear us talk, Joe, about nothing.
Sorry, the chat got me going right there. I'm not gonna lie. The chat may have gotten me a little bit right there. I'm a little put off by what was said in there. But yeah, you're definitely right. None of us really like rehosts. They're boring. And like you said, hopefully they do fix it. I don't have much faith that they will. Specifically on Central, it's the server that everybody uses. So I just but I believe we are going to a break while we rehost, if I'm being told correctly.
Yeah, and so we won't have to meander on forever. We'll, go to the break, hop right back in when all says is done. We're back in the map, and, well, it shouldn't be too long, so do not go anywhere. just like I said, not too long at all. It wasn't a complicated rehost as some might be, but now, well, Turbo Co. they get on the attack. We got Elyssar in the defense. No need to go through that ban phase, and I think this should be an exciting one. Man, I'm already excited. Look at Bry's snazzy little Warden frame. He's looking pretty dapper.
Yeah, he is. I actually have not seen that one.
Yeah, I've really seen that either.
I've not seen that one. That's
Fresh.
kind of interesting. He is looking fresh. Look at the hat. So white, so stiff, so beautiful. But finally, we're in game. And I've been waiting so long to get in the game. I was sitting there watching basketball, getting ready for this. And oh, so terrible to have to get a rehost right when I was about to start. But that's okay, because we have a good one right now. And we're finally in the round.
Nobody can hold you back, Joe. Joe R6 casting is about to go crazy. About to go insane. Not even a rehost is going to be able to stop it. And now Elyssar. Well, I haven't really been able to actually cast Elyssar. The amount of times I was able to cast FCL, Elyssar just avoided my vision the entire time. So I'm glad I'm actually able to, you know, put some words to this team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see Turbo and Co. specifically. Just because it's kind of a roster that is comprised of CL players specifically, and I haven't really seen them play, and not the best of starts. Bry, big ol' C4 getting an early pick within 15 seconds. So Turbo and Co. down a man early, and not the start that I would have liked to see from them, and that's going to be a tough way for them to start off a basement attack, one that's already hard enough in a 5v5. Now you're taking it with a 4v5.
Yeah, and you're losing a set of frag grenades. Your information is really gone. So you have the drones in Twitch. You have the drones that you get with every single operator, but it's always gonna hurt losing somebody that early, no matter who it is. So the mantle is gonna kind of fall onto the rest of these players. You still have the Habana, who's able to break open these hatches. But, I mean, there is another one gone and off the board, and rethinking is just going to actually push up very early, very fast. I think this might be one that is going to be a little too forward, and I think the apprehension is probably best in this situation, because one more death on Turbo Co. will be the nail in the coffin for this round.
Yeah, and as long as Elyssar has that, and I can't even get my sentence done before it happens, I was going to say, as long as they have the discipline to not give away a pick, they'd be fine. But they gave one up right away. And Bino already down to 1 HP as well. One shot to anybody. It's going to be a little bit of trouble here, but they have still the man advantage. They have everything they need really to work with here. And Twizzler does get that kill inside of Freezer. Bino gets another one now. Rufus.tsmftx left on his own. Elyssar do close out that round quite cleanly. They go up 1-0.
And a nice brief fire by Bino as well to secure the kill onto the Habana. So Elyssar, I think, come roaring out of that match. And then I think you really wouldn't want to start your potentially close qual run any other way, as now it's going to be up to that second floor. So we're not going to see any other Wardens going very far with the C4. I mean, maybe Bry is still going to try to get an early one, but knowing Turbo and Co., knowing who they have, you have to think they might be ready for something like what Bry pulled in the last round.
Yeah, and I don't know if they can rely on those early picks, but they did a great job at playing off of that early pick. So, I mean, not too much to deal with, but, I mean, it's just, if Turbo and Co. can kind of actually get inside the map, we can actually see what they're about. But they have to get inside the map first. So, not really too much I can really analyze until it really happens.
The timer ticking on down. I mean, we got a Rufus.tsmftx, the newest pickup. Surprising that they want to go with some unknown before the newest major, but hey, you never know. We'll see how they do on the Amaru. Probably gonna zip up to the big tower. That's mainly what the Amaru is for, be able to get on in, shut down any other roamers that actually try to hang out over there. But I mean, it is clear for the taking. And you're going to have rear stage open, probably meaning kitchen, I think, is probably where you're going to encounter your first player. So this is where we could actually see a challenge happen.
Yeah, and that also important entry pick is going to happen. We saw how valuable it was for Elyssar, and they can't really do too much. Bino kind of in a spot by himself, but he's not going to be aware, and that kill is not going to come in through on Hat right there. Bino now left to really low HP, as well as Hat over here. Shots ringing out, but he runs out of ammo. Bino able to fall back into kitchen here. And he's still in a pretty good spot, wasting so much time. While across the map, Twizzler gets that opening pick on the Ayana of Mikey. So a big pick going to Elyssar. They get that opening pick, and Bino, who's kind of in a tough situation down there, ends up getting out.
Losing your information operator for the second time in a row, and now the Amara, who's able to zip in so quickly, just doesn't have any real impact. I mean, the only thing that's gone from the side of Elyssar is some of Bino's health. There still is a lot of utility on the board, and we'll Rethinking for the second time in a row is going to be the first player on Turbo to actually net themselves a kill. That hasn't led to a round victory in the past, so something needs to change on Turbo & Co. Maybe someone else actually needs to find a couple kills here and there as well. As you can see on the left side of your screen, it is only Rethinking who has a kill, and that's not going to be a big recipe for success.
Yeah, but they do have kind of good utility placement at the most part. I mean, they have a player inside of Freezer here, and this impact trick is going to cause issues if it is correctly done, which it looks like it will be. And he misses both. And now the opportunity for Turbo & Co. really to come back into this round is fully there. Riot's stuck in a really bad spot. Bakarn, not sure if he's going to look at this. No, he does, but they instantly trade a 2v3 now for Turbo & Co. Rethinking found himself in a really good spot. He walks in, kills a player, but Bino from below gets the kill. The other player cleaned up as well. And Elyssar once again winning a defense, but got a little scary there with Riot not getting that thermite charge off of the wall. And a round that could have gone Turbo & Co.'s way, they do end up bringing back into their own arms. Elyssar 2-0.
Surprisingly, Bino was inside of kitchen essentially when the execution was going down, so clearly the play was, okay, maybe we, you know, if worst comes to worst, we try to stop the plant with the Valkyrie cams that we have the shotgun that we're able to destroy some soft surfaces, so but clearly it did work out in the end, but a little bit of a risk and a high reward coming out there from the side of Elyssar, as now they have to go for the meeting side, bring out the echo that everybody does on this site, and well, if they find some satisfaction, some victory on this site, I think that it does not spell a good thing for Turbo & Co. if they cannot find a single round win on essentially what is called a cycle for Elyssar. I mean, that gives them a lot of confidence going forward, and that's something you cannot give some of these players.
Yeah, no, you can. I mean, looking at Bino specifically is a player that can have so much impact. We saw him when he was on Outlast, how good he really was. It was kind of his breakthrough moment. I mean, we all knew he was a good player before that, but especially in that CL qual, he did so well on Outlast. And he's a player that hasn't necessarily performed as one of those, quote, star players on this roster of Elyssar, given he hasn't really needed to. You have Riot, you have Bry, even Twizzler at times, but we all know Bino can be that player, and in my opinion, for them to become a really, really top-tier T3 roster, he has to fill that role as another star on this team, and right now, he's starting to play like it.
Yeah, one with how influential an operator like Echo is on this site, well, he's probably going to be a player where our eyes are going to be on him in this round. But right now, we got to look at Brian. We have to see him inside a meeting, maybe Twizzler as well. Well, there's 3 players on Elyssar. I mean, well, we could see everybody right now, but who is really going to be the first player to encounter an attacker, maybe take them out, maybe lose a gunfight, who knows, but it is going to be influential no matter what. As now Turbo has created an access into the site. The C4 from Bry does miss, but this time Rethinking doesn't have to actually refrag somebody. He opens it up, finds JJ, who is the mute, so basically C4s are gone, and unfortunately Turbo & Co. cannot enjoy the victory for long, as it is back to a 4v4.
Yeah, and these players are in pretty good spots, but Twizzler trying to cross, not able to do so. Riot going down as well, and Turbo and Co doing a lot better at clearing the upstairs, and they do have it now, but Bino not able to convert on that kill, and you see Turbo and Co are actually in sight. Hat holding on this rotate, he gets that kill. Second player as well, he's got a double kill right there to close out the round, and they snag one back, asserted themselves into this game, and that's a big attack win for them.
And a lot of that comes down to the fact that they were just able to catch Elyssar in simple little mistakes, rotating, whether just slacking in certain areas. There was Turbo and Co ready to fire back, and a lot of that just rests on the shoulders of Rethinking, who has been an entry for Turbo in every single one of these rounds. And if Elyssar can't find a way to stop him, if they can't find an entry of their own to put a little bit of a distance between him and the rest of his team, I think he's definitely a player that can be a huge detriment to Elyssar's chance of victory if they do not find a way to deal with him.
Yeah, they just need to be big on the entry. Elyssar, we saw the first 2 rounds, how well they did when they got that entry. And Turbo and Co, they end up getting that entry this round, at round 3. And they close out the round pretty dominantly for the most part. So the entry seeming like it is a very important part of the direction of where this game is going to go. Whoever wins that entry battle feels like right now they have the complete advantage in the game. That's just what we're seeing at the moment. And the teams that aren't getting it are really struggling to get back into these rounds.
And taking a little bit of time, wanting to get that barbed wire just right. As before, we had Melusi, before we had the proximity alarms, barbed wire was the OG proximity alarm. It has to be placed just right in certain scenarios. As Bri pushes up towards that freezer, it's potentially a little bit too close to some certain operators, but backs off. I think he was trying to potentially catch somebody on the rotate, but as we saw in the previous round, it was actually Elyssar who got shot down when they tried to go for a little bit of a flank. So maybe going back into the site, just like we're seeing everybody on Elyssar do, maybe that's the right play in the end.
Yeah, and taking their time, making sure they drone everything out. They don't want to give away a pick for free, which last time on that basement attack, they not only gave up 1, but they gave up 2 for not really adequately having that information. So, yeah, a minute in, they took their time, but they do now, for the most part, have map control. I believe you do see a player on those T1 stairs who's going to try and exert some pressure on that tower side, but you have Turbo and Co who've taken really the entirety of the map, and they've done quite a good job of it so far, but now you have to make some progress towards site.
Yeah, and the basement is a site where you have to get your chips in early. You cannot really waste time because chaos is honestly just how this site thrives. And a lot of time the defense, if you have chaos, they will come away with it because positioning is superior. They have the Aruni, they have the smoke canisters, of which JJ will now start to deploy. And well, with Twizzler finding the first frag in here and rethinking is again the first player on Turbo to net themselves a kill. It's gonna be Rufus this time to actually put 1 in the bank, and now Turbo consistently is able to win these gunfights. But here's Bino finding 2. Will he be able to find more? Unfortunately, the pistol just is not the right weapon for that situation. It leaves the Frost all alone in the 1v2, trying to find the elbow shots. Mike doesn't take any sort of damage in that situation, and Carnage is able to swiftly shoot that laundry side, clean that up, and get the kill and the round for Turbo.
That was a very close round. Elyssar not really playing their trades as well as they could have, and they not only lose that first round, or first pick, they end up giving Turbo ends up getting back 2. So trade wise, Elyssar, they get the first pick, but they weren't really able to translate that as well. And Turbo and Co round does kind of go down to the wire off of a little heroics from Bino, but he does get a little too antsy per se. He took that fight on Freezer with the pistol when I assume he could have just walked back kind of into supply, kind of reload, regather, play that together in a 2v2 instead of just taking fights by himself. But Elyssar lose a basement defense, which Turbo Co, you saw the way that they were taking that, and I do like the way that they were taking that because they were trying to limit their own mistakes. And when you do that, it limits the opportunities for Elyssar to be able to take advantage of that. And if there's less things for Elyssar to take advantage of, less really possibilities for you to lose the round. So Turbo not really making too many mistakes right there, and it results in a big attack win on a basement site that isn't necessarily easy to attack.
Just want to say, look at this nice graphic. Look at the top. That's so cool. The essentially mock UI just for the timeout. And well, now as the timer has hit triple zeros, maybe we'll be back. I know that the restarting of computers sometimes is case to case. You might have a short one, you might have a long one. Depends how good of a setup you have. So we are just constantly just waiting this one out, but I am excited to see where we are brought with Elyssar facing up against Turbo. I think we are going to be heading to kids' dorms. Don't have to fuddle anymore. We can head straight back into the game as Riot has been able to restart. And now, well, round 5. Here we go.
I was excited to see that graphic again.
I know.
Hoping it would go back on there. It was pretty sick right there.
Roommate's pretty good at his job.
He's very good at his job. That's why we love him. A different look than last time, I believe. Am I wrong? No, right? Or different strat. They didn't do this trophy hold last time.
I mean, maybe, but it's this kind of core operators. They don't have the smoke. I think that's something that definitely has to be taken into account. It's more of utility denial than anything.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. That's something that they went last time, but I believe they got that early pick so quickly that they didn't necessarily need to. Pretty much similar hold. Got Bino down there in kitchen once again. A lot of opportunities for him to rotate as he does have that shotgun, so he can kind of really make downstairs his sandbox if you really like. But Hat flying his way into tower. He already has the control, and he does have the hard breach charges if you would like. So a lot of damage really for him to be able to do things and work on his own. Kind of take a lot of control. So well done on him to be able to get that started. And Turbo once again taking their time, really making this a structured game, and they're doing a really good job at slowing the game down, and so far taking all this control at the moment, and nothing really to show for it quite yet, but they're just starting to make a lot of progress.
I mean, the Amaru was hit or miss in the last rounds, but so was Turbo's attack. They did not have a attack that was able to actually lead to a round win. So I think now that they've been able to net 2 on their belt, we could see a different team than before. Mikey taking a little bit of damage, not enough to actually deter them from the attack, as it's Turbo who currently does not have a kill yet. They're actually going to be the player to push on up, but there's the Amaru I was talking about, and able to get inside of that attic, find the Aruni, and now, well, that's a huge bit of map control that Elyssar just kind of has to accept that they have given up. But Riot is now going to be successful in shutting down that thermite charge, and which is not speaking of utility, speaking of kills, that Amaru is not going to have any more job inside of attic. Well, neither will Mike in the trophy room.
Yeah, Mikey does end up getting taken down, but that wall is now open, and we are going to see Turbo hit the rotation station here, try and take through attic, and Riot in this bolo position is going to cause things to be a little harder for Turbo and Co, just because he's in a spot that they don't really have an ability to clear. But Taken ends up just walking in. He ends up getting the kill, and they have information on him now, but they have all the control that they need. But the Frost Trap coming in so huge, and Rethinking gets taken down as well through that rotate. Karn, none the wiser, ends up getting the kill on Bryce somehow right there, and he's not able to do much more. Bino closes out the round, and that Frost Trap coming in huge for them, and a defense round that Elyssar kind of needed going in there, and now have the ability to really get that coveted 4-2 split on their defense.
It's such a momentum killer. Joe. I mean, you had Turbo and Co. They had 2 consecutive rounds where they had a large amount of players alive in the end, indicating that, well, it was a spectacular round for them. And then, well, round 5, they get the opening kill. Attic is essentially free for the taking if Hat really wants to, but the fact that nobody helped Hat in actually taking Attic, there wasn't a pinch going through, and then you had the Amaru die. So basically that large advantage that you had at the beginning is gone just like that. And well, just a couple of unfortunate mistakes here and there, some lost 1v1s. You've got Elyssar, who've guaranteed themselves at least a 3-3, and Basement, they have a okay track record. I mean, 50% so far, so this is a toss-up going forward, but I think if Turbo and Co. aren't able to actually claim this round, Elyssar getting a 4-2 lead, it is one that we will have to talk about. We just cannot ignore that.
No, we can't, but I mean, a little bit of a roam, I guess, right here, and you don't really have any players on site. This is definitely a wild card pick from them. It doesn't feel like they're in a setup. They're able to get all the holes that they want, and a much more aggressive defense here to try and put off Turbo and Co. You saw that they really took the map with pretty general ease last time, and now you have a lot more work to do, and that nade does get picked up by Wamaridisk. Mikey also takes some damage right there, and Bino takes a fight. He's not the one that gets a kill, but it is JJ talking his talk in the chat, and big opening pick for them. We saw how good it was for them, and Bino is just going to fall back right here, and Twizzler maybe also falling back. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this, given that the hatches are already open. No, they're not going to fall back. Tower side, they still have unlocked.
JJ hasn't been dealt with, and nobody really can deal with him. Bry's just gonna pepper a couple shots to try to scare away the rest of these attackers, as more utility is gonna try to be dumped. That bulletproof has to be dealt with. It is draining time, and it is draining utility from Turbo and Kozer. Mikey's having to use a frag grenade just to deal with it, but now as JJ is just running all over the map. Now he is up at T3, the ultimate roamer, wasting so much time from Turbo Co. Well, now as Hat has... it's a little bit of an unfortunate time for Mr. JJ Blast himself, caught sliding down the fire pole. Maybe in another timeline we would see that not happen.
I'm just not really sure what he's doing right there, to be quite honest, but giving a pick away. Not a great one, and now we're even, and there's only a minute left, and they're starting to make a lot of progress once again. Turbo Co. He shot that, right? You heard the sound. Oh, oh no, man.
Yeah, I mean, Elyssar, they're going to have to fire back, and taking out Mikey is going to be a big one, but you still have to deal with Hat and Rethinking. And Rethinking is not just going to drop like that. And you are going to have to take calculated attacks toward this Twitch. And well, Twizzler trying to defend the honor of Elyssar. His shots are clearly going to give away his position. Carnage now slaps down the diffuser. So the chances of winning this round are really plummeting by the second. Nobody is directly going to peek this Aruni, who's just trying to creep through the basement, crouch height, not giving any sound away, and maybe he's able to take out Rethinking, but in the end, the full auto will win that gunfight. So Turbo and Co. make it 3-3. We are really even up here.
Yeah, they gave up a position right there in security that they really didn't have to, because there wasn't much progress made from that side yet, and they end up falling back a little bit too early, and JJ gives away a pick that just, he shouldn't have even been in that position in the first place, and it goes down to a 4v4, and Elyssar kind of throwing away that advantage that they worked hard to get. They made that adjustment. It was the right adjustment. They just did not play it very well at all, and now we're in a 3-3 tie with Valk and Mira both up on Oregon defense.
I mean, I like that. On basement, you still got the Valk. You're still able to kind of use those. I mean, not having the Mira might hurt you, but you're able to bring a smoke, you're able to bring a warden, operators that will help you with the amount of flashes, with, you know, Carnage able to just kind of waste some time. We don't see too much synergy between those two operators, but they can have more impact than we usually would think because, well, it obscures a lot of vision, and if Warden can just, you know, use his watch, maybe look down towards Laundry, I can net him a free kill here and there. So we'll have to see what Turbo and Co are going to bring to the table. But Mikey wanting to replicate what Bry did all the way back in round 1, get a fiery C4 kill, but he's not in the same position. Bino's going to catch him on the drone, so it will be a tactical retreat coming out from the Valkyrie.
Yeah, good discipline right there from him as well to not give anything away. And they're just going to fall back right here and maybe waste some time a little bit from Elyssar. But looks like for the most part, they have somewhat of an idea that this is all clear, that, you know, lobby hatch is now open already, and they're working their way in the small tower side. And you have a player upstairs as well, 2 of them as a matter of fact. And this map control going pretty swiftly for them so far, taking it very quickly and making sure that nothing really happens. No really player on the side of Turbo catching him off guard, and JJ on the Zofia getting himself in and just working his way through already. And good job from them, but once again, we talked about this before on the side of Turbo, and the same thing for Elyssar. They need to make some progress towards sight, and a minute and a half left in the round. They haven't done that much yet.
I mean, I still like their odds. They're able to get rid of some utility. They have a half of a round. I think finding an entry opens the round right back up, but here's where the money is made. From the halfway point all the way down to the execution phase, time has to be used wisely. And Elyssar, I mean, there are 2 paths here. And right now, they are going the side of, well, that time isn't being used as wisely. It seems like they might be kind of heading towards a 30-second, 15-second style of drop. The C4 isn't actually going to connect onto anyone. So now Elyssar, it seems the attack just right around the corner. They've got the information they need, and it seems that it's not enough. Joe, it leaves JJ and Riot. Actually, I say that, I could not be more wrong at all. The injured players made all the difference there. Elyssar walk away with the victory.
A little bit of a blender in that basement hallway right there. So much blood, so much carnage, someone could say. No pun intended. None. Actually did not do that on purpose. That kind of just slipped out. But, I mean, good job from Elyssar to really rope that back and really get themselves back on the board, winning a basement defense. And crazy that the operators that are up. And still, that's been so many basement defenses lost. And I think, what, 3 now? Basement defenses lost in total?
That's surprising on Oregon. But maybe it's just a curse. Sometimes you've got those types of sites where nobody can win it. No matter what, no how many times you've been here before, it just seems unreachable. As well, Riot, we can't ignore that. We have to talk about the blitz in the room. Rufus on the Warden, though, the hardest counter possible to a blitz rush. So Elyssar, they're putting all their eggs in one basket, and I mean, it can go one of 2 ways. Possibly a huge reward, but there's a lot of risk here.
Yeah, a lot of risk as well, but I mean, not really on the side of the Amaru. The Amaru, it's pretty easy. You just throw a T2 cut, fly your way in. It's just able to get control pretty early on in the round, so you don't really have to worry about, you know, rappelling up and stuff. So getting them in very quickly, and I'm assuming that the Jaeger is aware of that, the way he was just looking up, and players just walking in. Riot ends up taking the control, and he's lagging a lot right there, but he is all fine. Karn raining shotgun shells at him, but rethinking gets the kill onto JJ as well. That's case down in Pillar, but Bry ends up trading that. Bino gets another one from the holes on the wall, but Hat now has made this a round of 2v3, just him and Mikey trying to deal with this blitz player, but he does have a sledge to help him from behind, and Hat working his way in. He's going to catch one player off guard, but this player who is in elbow now ends up moving. Beal, a beautiful shot to get that one traded out as well. Elyssar made a risky play with a high reward, and it pays off for them. Big attack win again. 2 attack wins for them. They found themselves with a 5-3 lead, and on a map like Oregon, which, the game does become more attacker-sided as time goes on, it's still not a position we would have thought we'd be in right now.
Yeah, Elyssar starting to kind of put some distance between them and Turbo and Co. And it's a little surprising because it did feel like we were at equal footing. I mean, maybe Turbo and Co just are taking a little bit to warm up. I mean, Elyssar did get 2 rounds, and then Turbo and Co swung right back, got 2. Elyssar got 1, and then Turbo and Co got 1. And that could be the path that we're headed on. But the Dorbs defense is going to have to be, I mean, it's got to be a good one here. Elyssar have been looking strong on their attack. Bino and Twizzler right now putting up record kills. I mean, you still can't beat rethinking, but in terms of Elyssar, they're kind of spreading their kills more around. It doesn't feel like it's mainly just rethinking who's kind of opening a lot of these rounds up.
Yeah, and the bounce back that I said they needed, they're getting right now. Elyssar performing pretty well at the moment, looking like they're doing really well together, and the adjustments are coming through, but Turbo and Co getting really aggressive here. Mikey and Rethinking trying to do what they can and shooting a couple of drones. He's going to fall back, but Rethinking still getting aggressive here as well, trying to see how much damage he can do right here. But Bry does have the information. They know that this player has not fallen back yet, and they know where he is. Bino, shots raining out, but Rethinking does end up making it back a little bit, but he wants this opening kill. He does not want to fall back the entire way, but that is going to bite him in the behind. Bino, big opening pick, and Twizzler with another one across the map. Elyssar, a quick 5-3 lead into the round.
And now this just puts more pressure on everybody else on Turbo. Mikey is going to be able to walk away with a kill, but I mean, he got 1. That was immediately undone by the fact that Turbo was killed. There's still a slim chance that Turbo and Co could walk away with a victory, but Carnage, having the 9mm, doesn't have a great fire rate. The only good thing it's got that 1.5, and it's not going to be enough to actually give Turbo that round. So Elyssar now are knocking on the door of map and match point and continuing on in their undefeated streak in the SCS Open Quals.
Yeah, and they're doing a great job. These attacks look really good. They're doing well in the early round, which I think is what's so important for them. And you see they're forcing Turbo and Co to really kind of get desperate right there, rethinking, trying to desperately work on getting that first pick. He puts himself in a bad position, and Elyssar do a great job of capitalizing on that. And they find themselves in the lead, and they don't do anything to give it back. And they found themselves pretty, not just winning these rounds, but comfortably winning these rounds outside of that one little blender in the basement. So well done from them. And now they've put themselves on match point, and it's a tough position for Turbo and Co to be in, but they now go to basement for, I believe, the 3rd time now. And Elyssar have shown that they can attack this, and they're not going down the rush route. They've kind of exhausted that possibility by already using that. A little bit of a set play, and now they're going to have to try and clear once again, which they struggled with a little bit the last time they did it, but they now know what they're pushing into, so we'll see if they can kind of make those adjustments and clear this properly.
Much on the board here for Turbo. I mean, it's it isn't 3 like I said all the way back at the beginning. That is the main season. This is, well, it's a Swiss format. You got to keep going. And Turbo and Co, you don't want to add a loss to that victory. And maybe the fact that Bry is gone within 10 seconds could be a big factor in this round. But somebody has to deal with Hat. Has not retreated. Hasn't actually dealt any signs that they're intent on retreating. Maybe the drone, is that outside? I think it is outside. Actually, it was in small tower. It was ahead of Rufus, drops down, spots him, and now you will see the Warden just run away from that opening position that they saw. But I mean, there's a lot of factors here that Elyssar could still work with, but still losing your Yana is always going to hurt.
Yeah, and Brian not having the best of times, where he's been such an impactful player for this Elyssar roster, really ever since it became a thing. And not having the best of times, but you still have Bino and you still have Twizzler, two players who were just playing out of their dang minds at the moment. So still a lot of possibilities for them to be done. And hey, anything's possible when you got JJ Blastful on that Zofia. Getting a little active on that.
I mean, it's surprising, but he's been doing much today. He hasn't stayed silent as we've kind of seen him in the past. He's putting in the work in this match, and well, I mean, it's a good a time as ever. Making SCS would be a good little notch on that resume, and you got to work for it. Right now is Elyssar working with one player down. Now are setting themselves up for the actual execution. Throwing flashbangs, breaking those Surya gates. Actually, not those Surya gates. They're just kind of breaking a lot of these Wamai magnets. Not the Surya gates that I said previously. But, I mean, Elyssar working with one arm behind their back. I still like their chances because they still got Bino. They still got Twizzler.
Yeah, in 45 seconds now, Riot does get that pick back onto the single wall. He gets a second one by swinging his sight. He gets traded, but JJ gets one in the hallway. He ends up getting a second in the hallway. Karn swinging out onto close. He does get one, not able to find the second. JJ on that entry op, making it work. Beautiful plays from him. Not something we thought we would see, but he closes out the game for them on their third consecutive basement attack. Elyssar now put themselves to 3-0. 4-0 on those attacks as well, V, and that's just a great, really, performance coming out of them when the defenses just didn't look that great.
And JJ Gunner, I think that's a statement. We've seen some surprises on the B stream. Favelas going down to Somali Pirates, and now Elyssar putting a huge round difference between them and Turbo. I mean, 7-3, that could be interpreted as a standard game, but I think with the rosters that the two teams have, how they were kind of going at it, Elyssar, I think now vying for the top spot in the quals as they continue on being undefeated, and they're starting to thin the herd, and they're going to face some of those top dogs.
Yeah, and they're looking strong. I mean, Turbo & Co, obviously not, I don't believe, a set roster, so a little bit of a disadvantageous spot for them, but Elyssar, they bounced back the way that they needed to from what we saw from them last week in SFCL, given, you know, those are two much better teams than what they've really been playing against in these qualifiers, but just good looks from them. Their defenses were not fantastic. Those attacks, I mean, it's hard to really look past what was going on. And also, what is going on? I believe I have to shout out something else. V, if you would like to do that before we take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, we've got that A stream as well. You got to make sure that you tune in. And as I'm assuming that it is still probably going on, as this one was a definitely little quick one. And of course, yep, you got that. It is going on. And of course, you got that qualifier number 2. You can still, it's over there. You can still sign up for that, as this one, well, it might be gone, but you still have a chance to qualify for SCS. So make sure you get a team, you sign up, you check in, and you have a nice little good time in quals. But Joe, I mean, that's it for this third round of quals.
That is. So make sure you guys are tuning into that other game. A little bit of a banger, a little bit closer than this one was, but make sure you turn in, but also make sure you come back, as I will be here turning with open arms when this one comes back, when we get our next round of games. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to go to a break. We'll see you on the other side of it.
On a double, though, and he finds the third